I'm Spencer Dawson. I'm a clinical assistant professor here in the Department of Psychological and Brain Sciences at Indiana University, Bloomington. I'm a licensed psychologist and I'm board certified in behavioral sleep medicine. Daylight saving time was first implemented around World War I as an effort to try to conserve energy as part of the war effort. It was then sort of set aside after the war, came back in the 60s as sort of a federal policy that would be seasonal, again with the same idea in mind. And then in the 70s, it was tried to do year-round. And that was in the context of the oil embargo, really a time when our country really needed to save energy any way we possibly could. It didn't work. It didn't work then. It lasted about 15 months before it was totally abandoned. It was massively unpopular to have this be done year-round, which is currently being proposed to return to. And the energy savings weren't there. The cost of daylight saving time to Indiana is estimated about $9 million per year in direct costs and about $2 to $5 million in pollution costs. That was an estimate from 10 years ago, so that's only going to be increasing since that time. Daylight saving time forces us to wake up an hour earlier relative to the only sort of objective measure of time that we have reference to that's relevant for life on Earth, which is when the sun is up and when the sun is down. And so all life on Earth, all plants, all animals, all humans, we have our own internal 24-hour clock, our circadian rhythm, and that is lined up to when the sun is up and sun is down. Now you can change your clock and decide I'm going to try to get up earlier or get up later, go to bed earlier, wake up later, or go to bed later. But at the end of the day, our biology is our biology. And what happens is there becomes a mismatch between the clock of the sun and then our which lines up with the clock of our body and what we're actually expecting and demanding of our body. And so we're doing things and getting light inputs at times that are at a mismatch for our biological systems. So that's the entirety of the body. So this can result in increased problems and risk of problems in terms of cardio-metabolic disease and mental health in particular. Children and teenagers are particularly sensitive to daylight saving time. Just from the start, they have a higher need for sleep than adults do. Now, children, although they need more sleep and so they're awake for less time during the day, forcing them to try to go to bed early or wake up early, parents already have great experience with this. Every summer, you got your kids, they're out playing in the evening, you try to get them to come home to go to bed, and they say, "It's still light out. Why do you want me to go to bed? This makes no sense." And they're right. That is what we are designed to do physiologically. So the problem with daylight saving time is that it just takes that and exacerbates it by an hour, shifts it an hour earlier, trying to get your kids to go to bed an hour earlier, and then trying to get them to wake up an hour earlier as well. If we did away with that, kids would be getting tired at a time that makes a lot more sense. They would be more ready to wake up. Then we move into adolescence. Adolescents have a natural biological delay in their circadian rhythm. They naturally become night owls. It's not just teenagers being defiant or oppositional or rebellious or just having a good time. Their natural biology says you should be staying up later, you should be sleeping in later. And so daylight saving time just pulls that in the exact opposite direction. One of the things we can do to mitigate the effects of the clock change is to spread it out. So over 2, 3, 4 nights, instead of advancing your sleep by an hour all at once, breaking it down into smaller chunks of half an hour over 2 nights, 20 minutes over 3 nights, 15 minutes per night over 4 nights, just as ways to make more smaller incremental changes so it's not one big change all at once. The other thing that folks can do is consider reaching out to their representatives in Congress to advocate against a bill that's being proposed that has passed the Senate and is now in the House that's called the Sunshine Protection Act, which is advocating for permanent daylight saving time, which is going to be particularly challenging for mornings in the winter when sunrise gets delayed by an hour. So extra darkness in the morning when our bodies aren't ready to wake up. This is exactly the problem that we saw when we tried it before in the 70s. It didn't save energy, it was massively unpopular. Children died as a result of it.